Hello and welcome to Envision. I'm Deanne Conrad, Community Relations Supervisor for the Sioux Falls School District, and Dr. Brian Maher is our superintendent. We have some good news, we think, regarding graduation rates. We have been really focusing in on graduation rates the last year or so.
Right. When we did our strategic plan, we knew the district was full of so much good news. We wanted to make sure that we kept our programs that were strong, continually strong. And we also wanted to look at those areas where we had some gaps and said, where can we improve? And graduation rate was one of those areas where we knew we could improve.
Right, that rate was at about 80%.
It was at 80.55%. It went steadily down over the last several years. And given the increased poverty that we have and the increased rigor, if you will, in the courses, it was something that we knew we needed to reverse a trend in. So we're really happy with the effort that we've put in, really long-term, but specific over the last year or 2 years, to really reaching out, dealing with individuals, and trying to get them to stay in school, stay on task, and get that diploma in the 4 years that is allotted.
What does that work look like? We have groups meeting in each of the high schools. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, we do a number of things. We have a pyramid of interventions that's at every building. So that might be, what do I do if a student's chewing gum versus what do I do if a student really is disengaged, and how do I try to re-engage them in the schooling process? So it might be a talk with a principal or a counselor, to a real intervention that even looks at a change of placement. So there's quite a continuum there in that service opportunities. But the other thing that's been a really big thing is that individual focus on the student. And that takes place in a weekly meeting where we have all of our counselors, our assistant principals, our principal, and depending upon the building, could be others, could be social workers, could be any number of other people there. But generally speaking, about 15 people who are looking at students who are at risk for not graduating and figuring out how do we get them to graduate without compromising the standards that we've set as a school district. So I'm very proud of all of those people, but ultimately the kids who have got to that finish line.
And that turnaround, it's going to take time, but we are seeing some success with that.
I was really hoping that at the end of this first year where we've done it district-wide in earnest, I was really hoping to see at least a 1% increase. I think we're going to see more than that. So we won't know for sure until the numbers come out from the State Department of Education. I think September 18th or 19th, somewhere in there. But it looks promising, I'll just say that. I'm very excited about the news that I think we're going to get on the graduation rate.
And that work then, just because we're seeing a little turnaround doesn't mean we pull back on the work, but we continue and focus in on that.
We very definitely continue, because what we've done now is we've figured out how do we work with those seniors who are at risk. Now what we do is scale that work down. How do we work with juniors, freshmen, sophomores? How do we make sure that we keep students on track so that we don't have that heavy lift when they become seniors? Right. So that's a real goal. And
those statistics are one thing, but I know I've heard you say before, it's about real people. Yep. It's about students who are walking in our halls and learning in our classrooms.
Yeah, the statistics are awesome. I can't wait to speak to the civic groups and say, hey, we increased our graduation rate by 2%, or even to show a bar graph where we were going down, 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 and now we're going back up. That'll all look really good, but here's where it really hits home, and that is that a 2% graduation rate increase means that from last year to this year, 32 students will have a high school diploma who wouldn't have had a diploma if our graduation rate was still 80.55%. That's just a 2% increase. It affects 32 lives, and then how many other lives do those 32 lives impact? So if we can keep doing that year over year over year, we can ultimately affect hundreds and thousands of lives over time by staying the course and being true to that graduation goal.
Certainly important work, and we will continue to stick with it over time. Thanks for joining us on Envision.